So Ryan Tannehill opened up recently about his loss to Joe Burrow in the playoffs and how it sent him into a very, very dark space. And to be honest, I don't know how any of these players, when they lose in the playoffs, like how mentally they rebound from that crap, because you have a whole entire city who is upset and angry. And let's say you, hypothetically speaking, threw an interception in this game, right? You're going to be looked upon as the guy who caused the problem. Or let's say you had a game-winning drive and you threw an interception, or you just had a bad game in general, right? Automatically, people are going to throw tomatoes at you, and you're going to take a lot of crap. I mean, Mark Andrews dropped a 2-point conversion in the Ravens-Bills game. His wife was getting death threats. His family was getting death threats. He was getting death threats. There was people who wanted to actually go to his house and do some very negative things to him. And this game between the Titans and the Bengals, this was back in 22. This playoff game ended up with us winning 19-16. So this was a very, very close game. And so I can't imagine how both sides feel in this one when it comes to the game ending. When it comes to, obviously, Joe Burrow's like 348 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's not a great game when it comes to 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ryan Tannehill, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That's an atrocious game. Our defense definitely led. AJ Brown, 142 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he would proceeded to be traded to the Eagles the following year, but that's crazy. Joe Mixon, 54 yards and a touchdown. It was a back and forth game, but he lost. And unlike the Bills, who come out and say, we only lost because of the snow. It's not our fault. We can't play in the snow. Buffalo, you never, ever live that one down. You guys complained about playing in the snow. Anyway, what he said was this. It's a scar. It's a deep scar. It was a lot of sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I was rewatching the game in my head. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep for weeks and weeks after that. I was in a dark place, and it took me a while and a lot of work to get out of it. It wasn't something that went away easy, and it's still a scar that I carry with me through the rest of my life. I've worked through it, but therapy, talking to people, time helped. It took a lot of work to get through it. And I feel like in general, listen, Ryan Tannehill is never going to be and never was a top 5 quarterback, the best quarterback in the NFL, a quarterback that you'd think of and think will win multiple Super Bowls. Tannehill has always been on that cusp of he's a good quarterback, he's a good bridge quarterback, and even when he was at the height of his success, he was always like, okay, he's above average. He's above average. He's pretty decent. He's good. But he was never like great. He was never a quarterback that you look at and say, okay, yeah, that guy's going to win Super Bowls. So I do understand that factor too, that, he gets there, he gets to the playoffs, and, there's this mentality of like, okay, well, this is the year, this is the special run where we're going to go all the way and win a Super Bowl. So I do understand the perspective of how much more that would also hurt, because after that year in 2022, he then proceeds to go 3-5 as a quarterback for the Titans the following year, and nothing, 6-6 the following year in 22, and then 2023 he goes 3-5. So like his career ended after that game. So for example, the playoff game was technically in 21, but it was 22. 2022 was the playoff game, but it was 21 season. And then preceding that, 6-6, 3-5, and his career fell off, right? His career absolutely fell off. That was the 2-year run where he was an absolute, like, his team was good, his team was great, his team was doing great. But outside of those 2 years, I mean, he's always been, again, like a average or below average quarterback, which it's not bad, but there's not many opportunities where he's going to get to a point where he could potentially go to a Super Bowl or even go farther in the playoffs. So I get it. I do get it. He was 2-3 in the playoffs across the board. 2019 was his first time going in the playoffs. He went 2-1, got to the championship game. I think he lost to the Chiefs, I believe. And then preceding that, 0-1, 0-1. So I do feel bad for him. I do. And I understand, like, again, these players, it's not easy. It's not easy to lose, you know. That's why, again, you know, we get upset as fans when something happens. But at the same time, you got to remember, you know, these guys are busting their butt out there. They're trying to win. They're trying to be successful. Unless you're talking about Cam Newton not diving on the fumble. I'm just saying. Cam Newton not diving on the fumble in the Super Bowl, he made a business decision. But at the same time, I can't respect that one. But I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm kidding around. But every other time, like, yeah. I mean, look at the Ravens in 2011. Billy Cundiff missed a game-winning field goal. 32 yards. Not game-winning, but a game-tying field goal. 32 yards. Lee Evans drops a touchdown the play before that would have took the lead and beat the Patriots in 2011. There are some really big moments where, you know, all it took was one thing to go differently, and everything is, you know, different, and history is completely different. The Bills would have a ring right now if it wasn't for wide left. If it wasn't for the field goal kicker, the Bills would have a ring right now. If it wasn't for, you know, Evan McPherson, no, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say him losing us 3 games this year, but I'm just joking around about that. But yeah, again, you could always look back and say there's a million things throughout these games that you can point at and say, this is the problem, this is the issue, this is the issue. And for the last game, the most meaningful game where Tannehill had success in the NFL, he had 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown and 220 yards. He had a very bad game. So I do feel bad for him. Obviously, in the end, we are the beneficiary of it because we got to go to, you know, farther in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, that's the game we play, and that's why you gotta love it, because there's some really high highs, and then when it gets low, there's a very low lows. So shout out to Tannehill though. Again, I'm sorry he went through that. You know, you never want to see a player go through that. Listen, these players, they love the game. They do. I know sometimes we get a little away from it because of the money factor, and some players, it feels like they're a little greedy, but you know, they're getting what they deserve, they're getting the money they deserve, because they do put their life on the line when it comes to these games. You never know what's going to happen. They might not be able to walk one day. They might have CTE the rest of their life. They might, you know, there's a lot of things that we just don't factor in, I guess. But from a mental state, I'm happy that Tannehill is in a better spot. And also, my man, at any time, you should have just looked at the fact that you had a smoking hot girlfriend, and you would have took the W. Although Joe is Joseph, bro. And that man just sent you to the shadow realm. So I don't know. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts, opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.